I'm about to show you guys how to make my beautiful angel food cake recipe. I'm Nick and you're watching the Scran line, where I teach you how to make delicious desserts designed to impress. This angel food cake recipe is so perfectly light. It has a hint of orange zest in it, which is absolutely gorgeous, topped with beautifully whipped cream and fresh berries. This thing is so easy to make. I'm going to show you just how easy right now. We're going to begin with the egg whites. We want to separate them and let them sit for about 30 minutes. So today I'm going to be using my stand mixer. If you don't have a stand mixer, you can just do this with a hand mixer. We want to make sure that our bowl is really clean. This bowl is clean, but just in case there are any trace fats in here and I didn't clean it properly, we're actually going to be cleaning it with some vinegar. So I've just got like regular white vinegar here and I've poured it into my bowl. I'm going to use a paper towel and we are going to wipe the inside of our bowl. And what this does is it helps the egg whites actually whip up better. So this step is really important. It takes 2 seconds, so I would recommend doing it. So now that we've got that in there, we're going to separate out our egg whites. There are 12 eggs in this recipe. It's a lot of eggs, but the eggs are what help this cake rise. There are no other raising agents in it. So I want to show you how I separate egg whites. So I grab 2 eggs, I just gently tap them together, and then I kind of play swapsies with the egg yolk. So we're kind of just swapping Mr. Egg Yolk or Mrs. Egg Yolk in between the eggshells, being careful not to break that egg yolk because you can't have any fat in this egg white, otherwise your meringue won't whip up properly. So if you're looking for recipes for how to use up your leftover egg yolks, there are loads of recipes on like custards and frostings that use egg yolks, so you can use them up and there's no waste. I should probably also remind you that for this recipe, you want to make sure that your eggs are at room temperature, not straight out of the fridge. Just let them thaw for about an hour before you start using them in your recipes. We're going to set this aside for 30 minutes and I'm going to show you how to get the dry ingredients prepped. It's really easy. We are going to be putting some flour. I'll have the measurements up on screen for you guys, and some sugar into our bowl, and I'm going to use a whisk to whisk these ingredients together. Actually, we want to make sure we add our salt in there as well. So we're going to whisk these ingredients together. So normally I would have sifted these ingredients as I was adding them into the first bowl, but it's okay. We're just going to have a little bit of extra cleaning to do. So sift these ingredients just once, because we're going to be sifting them again when we add them to the meringue that we're about to make. There's a couple little big bits in here, we'll just throw them out. I'm going to set that sift aside. We're going to set these aside. Our egg whites have been sitting here for 30 minutes, so we're ready to get onto the meringue. I've got some cream of tartar here. The cream of tartar is going to help our egg whites whip up better. It's kind of like it's like an acidic thing that's going to help these whip up better. If you don't have cream of tartar, you can use fresh lemon juice, like a teaspoon of fresh lemon juice, or even white vinegar in its place. And we're also going to be adding some vanilla extract in here. It's about like a teaspoon of that. So like I said, I'm going to be using my stand mixer today because I have it and I already did a workout today, so I don't really need to do another workout. We're going to be using the balloon whisk attachment for this, and we're going to start whisking on medium speed for about like 3 minutes until these are nice and frothy and at soft peak stage. Okay, so these are really nice and frothy. It's already pretty much tripled in kind of volume. Now, the way to know if they're at soft peak stage, they don't really even hold a peak. It just looks really frothy. So that's what you're after. Now, we're going to be adding some sugar to this because that's how you make a meringue. But with the sugar, you want to add it slowly just to give the sugar and the egg whites time to kind of get to know each other. It's more about letting the sugar dissolve before you add the rest of the sugar. And doing it this way means that you get a much nicer, smoother, glossier meringue. Adding it all at once can kind of cause your meringue to collapse. And obviously you don't want that because we need this cake to rise using the meringue. So we're going to be adding 1 tablespoon. So sprinkle that in there. We're going to go back on medium-high speed and continue adding that sugar in there a little bit at a time while the mixer is on. Right, so this has been whipping for about 5 minutes. It's really nice and thick and glossy and it's holding its shape really, really well. We are ready to move on to the next step, which is adding the dry ingredients. So I'm just going to take this whisker, give it a gentle tap here. To this, we're going to be sifting in half of the dry ingredients. So that means that we're essentially sifting these dry ingredients twice, and that's what you want. Before we start folding, I have an orange here and we're going to be grating, or not grating, but like zesting this orange. All right, that's that. So we're going to add that in there as well. And we are going to fold this in. So when I say fold, I mean like gently folding and kind of twirling it around on itself. As you're folding a mixture like this, the flour is going to want to sink to the bottom, so you need to be aware of that. There's going to be some flour hiding at the bottom of this mixture. And once you have finished folding all of the dry ingredients in here, it should still essentially be like a stiff meringue consistency if you've done it right. There we go. All right, so I think that's the first half. How gorgeous are these flecks of little orange in this cake? It's beautiful. And you'll actually be able to see them in the cake as well. All right, so that's the first half of the dry ingredients. Let's add the second half of the dry ingredients and sift those in as well. Gently, gently folding. And can you see how this has basically kept its consistency? Like it's really thick still. Like I can move this spatula around and it's not drizzling or dripping off the spatula. That's the consistency we want. So I am going to set this aside because I have a special cake pan here. This is called an Angel Food cake pan. It's really cool because you have like a removable bottom, and I'll show you after we finish baking why that's important. But this one here also has like these little feet at the top, and I'll also show you why these are important when we finish baking. So we're going to be adding this a little bit at a time to the bottom of our cake tin. We don't want to just pour all of this in at once, and I'll show you in a second why. So just a couple spatula fulls at the bottom. Now the reason why we're doing this is because we want to make sure that we get the bottom of this cake kind of sorted out before we add the rest of the cake mixture. So we're kind of trying to get rid of any air bubbles. We are going to spoon the rest of this mixture in, and we're just going to use our spoon to kind of flatten this out. Once you get it nice and flat, we're going to be using like a long skewer, because this is going to be our insurance policy in making sure that there are no air pockets in our batter. So you want to get like right to the sides as well, the inside and the outside, and make sure there are no air bubbles or pockets in the cake batter. Once you've done that, we're going to pop this in the oven on 175 degrees Celsius for about 30 to 35 minutes. And I want to come back and show you exactly what you need to do as soon as it comes out of the oven. Quickly popping in to remind you guys to hit the like button if you're enjoying this video, and make sure you subscribe. It's free, and hit the little bell icon next to that button so that you get a notification as soon as I've uploaded my next video. back to the video. Our cake has been baking for 30 minutes. I've just taken it out of the oven and we want to flip it over as soon as it comes out. We want to let it cool down this way because gravity plays a role. We don't want the cake to kind of sink down as it's cooling. We want it to stay in its shape. Now, the great thing about this is that we've got our little feet, so we can let this cool down like this. If you don't have the little feet on your pan, you can just pop it onto a cooling rack and it'll cool down like that. But we're gonna let this cool down completely at room temperature. Don't pop it in the fridge. It's just gonna shrink. And then I'm gonna come back and show you how to decorate. But I should also make a note. We didn't actually line this with any baking paper or spray it with any oil because we want the cake to actually stick to the side of the pan because it helps keep that cake shape that we've got with the pan. So don't spray this, don't line it, leave it as it is. Super easy recipe, no fuss. We're gonna let this cool down for 30 minutes and I'm gonna come back and show you how to decorate. So I let this cool down upside down and the bottom, it's kind of like gone down a little bit, but this bit here stops it from completely coming out. So it's cooled down upside down. I know it's odd, but that's the way this cake needs to cool. So we're going to carefully go around the side of the tin just in one motion. I wouldn't recommend like going up and down or using a serrated knife because you're gonna end up with like messy cake sides. And we wanna do as clean a cut as we can. So going around with a sharp knife until you've gone completely around. So this is just gonna lift out really easily now. Carefully go around the bottom while we're twisting the cake. Just one motion. We do not want to like go back and forth because we're going to end up with messy cake sides. And in this case, the bottom here is actually the top of the cake. So this is the part you want to get nice and neat. So if we turn it upside down, there we go. If we turn it upside down, this comes off and we have our beautiful angel food cake. I'm going to show you guys how to decorate this. It's really, really easy, simple decorating. We're going to whip up some cream and just pop some berries on top. To whip the cream, I added heavy cream to a large mixing bowl along with a good splash of vanilla extract. Now, I don't like sweetening my cream, but if you like yours on the sweeter side, you can add a tablespoon of caster sugar or powdered sugar. I'm going to use my hand mixer to whip this up to stiff peaks and we're done. I just popped my cake on a nice serving plate. I really love this cake because it's a really nice mint color and mint is my favorite color. So we're going to begin by adding some cream on top of our cake. You don't want to go like too close to the edges because as you add the berries, it's actually going to push the cream out. So we're just going around and kind of adding about a tablespoon of little dollops on top of our cream. On top of our cake. And then the berries, guys. So the berries, I actually washed these and then dried them on a baking tray lined with paper towels just to let them kind of dry at room temperature, just so that they're nice and clean before we pop them on. So some little raspberries, and again, you don't have to put the berries on top. What is also really nice with this cake is just like raspberry jam or strawberry jam and cream. Or you could even keep it even simpler and just add some powdered sugar on top, which we're gonna be doing. I mean, it's so simple to make and it's so easy to make as well. You could whip this up in an afternoon and then take it to a tea the next day. I'm gonna slice into this and give it a try. Fun fact, guys, I don't actually like berries. So I tend to eat around berries on like pavlovas or anything with berries. So I'm just gonna eat the cake. Maybe I'll grab a little bit of cream. Yum. You know what my favorite thing about this cake is? Those little orange zest things that I can actually see them in the cake and you can taste them. They're so delicious. This cake was so easy to make. I've left the recipe in the description box below for you guys to try it yourselves. And if you do, tag me on social media. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button and let me know what else you'd like to see me make on the Scran line. I'll see you all on the next episode. Bye. I forgot, there's actually more videos for you guys to watch on this channel, so click wherever they are on the screen and make sure you subscribe as well. I'm gonna sit here and enjoy the rest of this cake, minus the berries, while I wait for you guys to subscribe. It's like down there somewhere, so hit the subscribe button.